That's much better. Right, sweet. Let's get into this then. Switch over. So, no, I'm gonna have to turn this down a bit. There we go, that's better. Right, sweet. So last time we were looking at the enemy AI. Um, and this is bugging. So we need to look at this a little bit deeper. Actually, let's make that a bit bigger. Because for some reason it's not quite working the way that I want it to. So if I actually just jump in and show how it works right now. So right now, if we look at an enemy, basically they should idle and hover around their location, which they're doing perfectly fine. And then when they go to seek, they should be moving towards a player and then kind of hovering around them. But it seems to be a bit broken at the moment. Let's go ahead and test that out. A few things that we can play about with though, which is definitely good. So as you can see right now, for some reason, just don't seem to be moving at all. So this timer isn't being called, so let's actually have a look at that real quick. Okay. So let's just have a look at the idle state. Because I think I played around with it a little bit. So target position equals find location and random range. If uh, target position does not equal vector 0, then we're going to set the destination and change the move to. If the path is invalid, we'll go back to locate and we'll get a new position. Else, if we are less than 1 on the remaining distance, we'll go to rest. Rest will set the timer, which will keep going up. Idle timer equals 0, max idle time. So we'll do less than equals there. I think that might be the issue where it's kind of both starting on 0. So let's give that a try. Then they should continue to move around. They don't. Right now they're in move 2. I actually put them in rest. So we'll see that one actually did move. Let's just change that to big screen for you guys. You can see this one is actually now working. So it will move, but it won't go to rest. So that's where our problem is. Let's see if we can get this sorted. So this a remaining distance is less than 1. We want to go to rest, or maybe we'll do a vector distance here instead. Just because I think there's an issue with this remaining distance. So instead we'll do vector 3 dot distance. We'll do transform dot position, and then we'll do this anyway dot destination. We'll do that as, so we check to see if that's less than 1, which that should be. Although if I remember correctly, we had some issues here, so I'm going to times it by 10. Actually, I'm going to times that by 25. And we'll see how that works, because if you was watching yesterday, we had to times by 50 down here. Because for some reason the vector 3 distance is a lot smaller than the actual Unity units. I think that's something to do with like the actual code versus Unity. So we'll see how that plays out. We should receive a much better result using this. by the looks of it, just because they seem to be hanging on that one piece of code. Although they're still sitting on move 2. So if we go back up to that piece of code here, offset is invalid. Move back to locate. The distance is less than 1. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna print this out. I'm gonna make a float up here. Distance to test. And we're just gonna make that the float, and then we're gonna print that float. Just so that we can actually see what this distance is when it actually stops. So we'll just do that there, and just hold on. Okay, thought I was getting called there, but right. Okay, so let's give that a try and see what's getting printed. Oh wow, so that's like 36 right now. So yeah, we'll make an adjustment to that. Take away that times 25 and leave that as. And see what we get out of that. So we're on okay, so if we up that to 2 then, so we make that less than 2F, and then we can get rid of that print. We should see this working a lot more efficiently. Okay, and there we go. So we can actually see them kind of moving around a little bit more freely and a lot more random. So they're not all moving at the same time. They're not all just kind of running around. That's the effect that we're definitely looking for. That to me definitely looks like some idle zombies. Obviously, we'll slow down the movement and we'll make some adjustments as we go, but we want to get the actual framework working first. Okay, so that's perfect. And then if we come into, so we need to make that change down here. So if we copy that line, add that to beginning of move instead of the remaining distance, and we'll also test that out because hopefully this is going to match up now, and we're actually going to be using decent numbers or ranges. Because as far as I'm aware, everything else on here works. It's just this issue. So let's go ahead and test that. So we're going to set this one to seek the player. Okay, so if we set that to seek, let's turn the gizmos on so then we can actually see where it's going to. Okay, so it is actually moving around, although again we're seeing some sort of issue with the walls. It seems to be kind of bouncing back and forth between the wall, and we want to stop that from happening. So we do have the wall cast block. But right now it looks like he is just kind of hovering around the player at the moment. Kind of fast, rapidly moving. Going into the player, hitting a couple of times. Okay, sweet. So the next thing that I also wanna make an adjustment for there, and it might actually help with the walls, is we're gonna use vector 3 dot dot, I think it is. Because then basically we're gonna make sure that wherever the enemy or the zombie's actually going, it's kind of looking in that direction. Because we don't want the zombie to just all of a sudden just do like a full 180 and then change direction straight away. That doesn't seem like a smooth transition. So we're gonna go ahead and change that in these two sections here. And so what I'll do here is if the distance is less than the minimum range, we'll return vector 3.0. Otherwise, we'll just continue and return a new position because then we've got it the same as up here. And then we're going to make a new function. I'm just going to do private void. Actually, we're going to make this a bool. Is position within looking angle. I guess we'll just do that. So do vector 3, we'll get the actual position, and then we'll do a float of the angle. I think it's 0 is right in front and 1 is like to the left or to the right. Although obviously we'll have a little play around with that and see what happens. So we'll return. We'll actually change that to max angle. If the So I think it's vector 3 dot dot, yep. So we'll do transform dot forward position is less than max angle. I believe that should work. And then we'll do up here, because we already have an if statement here, just processing it. We can also get rid of that distance, because we kind of understand how we're going to do that distance now, especially between the after fixing the move to in the idle state. So if we come back down here, so we have the new position up here. We're going to do if is position within looking angle. We'll do new pos, and then the angle of dot 35f. We'll see how that works. We'll return a new pos, else we'll return vector 3.0. And what we'll do is we'll actually just keep this up here. So if we turn that into an else, and we do or no, so we'll put the vector 3.0 down here, back down here again, and then place this up here because I'd prefer this statement to be true. And then we return a new pos. Let me just keep it in the same way. Let's just make a space between that. Let's just add that in. Is position within looking angle. We'll do new position, and then we use 0.35f again. Let's add another bracket. And actually, we'll make this into a changeable float. Let's just make a public float. View angle half, because we want half, so it's not going to be like 180 or anything like that. Yeah, like I say, like forward is 0, I believe, or 1, and then left and right is either the opposite. So let's have a little play with that, add that in, and then we can change that in the settings. And basically that's going to work like a little cone. So like if the position is behind it, it's not going to go to it, but if it's in front, then it will go there. And it will kind of make for a lot smoother transition, especially for going around the player, because then it'll actually like go round instead of just going from one side to the other. Let's go ahead and set that in here to 0.35. And I also want to turn that into a range, because it's only ever going to be 0 to 1 maximum. Let's just add that in here. Okay. Then if we hop back into Unity and just test this out. So we should see this now working on all of them. They're all on 0.35. So we'll just see how that kind of affects them. So you'll see there's a lot more kind of times that they've got to test for a position to move to. And you'll see how those positions are actually being guided. So this guy seems to just be doing whatever he likes. Then some of these look like they're kind of having issues. It looks like the positions might be in the walls that they're looking at. So we'll just extend that out a little bit. So if we go up to like 0.5, then we'll change that for all of them. Okay, there we go. So now we actually look like we're getting a bit better movement on there. There are still a few that look like they're kind of having issues. So maybe we'll add a counterer. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So we'll add a counter for the amount of failed moves, and then if the counter's too high, then we'll just ignore the angle, because as you can see, some of them are kind of getting stuck. But then when they're in a decent position, I think when they're able to move in certain positions, because I think what's happening here is this one's kind of looking at the wall, and that one again, that one again. So if I actually pick on here, yeah, look, so you can see that's looking at the wall. So if I was to rotate him, make him face this way, I've just realised I've just rotated the capsule instead. We'll rotate you. So rotate you, and then you can actually see that it is picking a location that it's kind of looking at, and it is much better. So we'll do that for a fail system. So we'll just add that down here. Private in failed position view count. I'm gonna call it that, just so then it makes a little bit more sense. So I'm gonna come down here, and we're gonna turn this into an if statement now. So if just there, we'll return true. Then otherwise we'll return false. But we want to do the counter as well. So if we just do this, else, and then we'll do the failed position view count plus plus. And then we also want a max fail view count. So let's actually make this public. We're gonna add this up here. And we'll turn this into a section. So let's add a header. Angle based movement. And then we'll just add this down here. Movement ranges. Just so then it makes a little bit more sense on the hierarchy, and we'll do it up here as well. States. And annoyingly that has to be of that. So we'll actually tidy this up a little bit. Just put those like so. and then the path status we can leave as that is, because that'll be on the top anyway. Let's make that public, and I'm going to duplicate that, and then we could do max failed position view count. Yeah. I mean, it'll be up here anyway, but just to kind of keep it in line with the code, I want to try and keep it ideal. So then underneath here, we'll just do if failed position view count is more than equal to the max failed position view count. We're going to set that to 0 and return true. We're just gonna say, do you know what? Fuck it. We'll just let you move there. Otherwise, it will just return false. Okay. Let's give that a try. We don't wanna make that number too low. Because otherwise they're just gonna kind of basically ignore the system completely. So we need to make this high enough that it's gonna make a difference. So I'm just gonna set that to 50 for the moment. Because it does check for positions quite often. And then we'll see how that works. So we should see that number go up quite quickly if it's failing. So this one's okay, but as you can see, so these ones are having issues, and then all of a sudden they're just kind of moving to a different position anyway. So the movement does look a lot smoother. I think it's a little bit difficult without seeing where they're actually looking. So let's head into this prefab and let's give them something to show their forward direction. Let's just add a cylinder. And we'll just put that kind of like to their head. Make that smaller, rotate that by 90. Shoot out. So if we just leave that like there, we'll give it a material as well. We'll make it yellow for the moment. I know it's the same color as the bullets, but that'll do just for testing, so we can actually see exactly where they're all looking, and they're actually all looking this way. So that's completely not what I was thinking looking at the walls earlier. This should be a lot easier to kind of see how they're actually moving in terms of like rotations and stuff like that. So you see this guy is just looking at the wall, so it's not going to be able to move anywhere there, and then it's kind of moving again. We're also going to need to adjust that rotation, because as you can see, it didn't actually rotate all the way that it was going, like in the direction that it was going to. So angular speed 120, pathfinding speed. So maybe we actually just want to make them rotate before they move. I'm not sure how we'll do that. Maybe if we maximum turning speed in degrees while following a path. So maybe we will just up this. So let's just double that and see how that takes effect. Because basically we want them to be facing whatever way they're moving. We don't want them to be sliding around like left and right. So see, this one's actually moving a lot better. But then that one kind of was still moving while rotating. So let's double that again. 240 to 480. Just because we don't want them to be facing a way or a direction that they're not actually walking in. We want them to look where they're walking. So it actually looks a lot more responsive. So you see that guy moving around, and they're actually rotating before moving, kind of. But they're rotating in the direction that they're kind of moving to. That one was a little bit slow, but it's working a lot better. So now we can actually see that they're definitely looking like zombies, just kind of idle, moving around. We want to slow down that movement slightly, But we'll do that later on because we're going to make adjustments for when they're just idle, seek, or when they're actually going to be chasing a player. Okay, those sweet. So that system is working. Let's go ahead and refresh because now we want to work on the seek. So when they actually chase after the player. We might even be able to turn that view angle down now. Just because we've got this kind of secondary system in, just as like a backup. Right, so let's go over to seek. So the issue with this is that we still need to make sure that like the wall is blocking it. So let's see how this one does for the moment. So we can actually see that he definitely looks like he's kind of moving around a lot smoother, especially around the player. Although this in itself is kind of looking a little bit too scuffed for me. I don't know if it's just because it's a tight area. So we can definitely play around with this a little bit because I think this is a little bit too messy, I guess. I think we might want to make them slower as they get to the player. Or maybe we just want to slow them down completely. So what's our speed on? It's on 3.5. So let's turn that down to 2.5. I mean, they're zombies, right? So they're not gonna be super fast. That definitely looks better on the idle movement at least. So maybe what we can do is on idle we make them like 1.5. Let's just change that down here. Or actually just make them 1. And I do want to up this slightly, so we make that like 520. Just on that rotation. Acceleration 12, stop and distance 2, we'll make that 1. So then that makes sense with our system. Auto braking will enable. That should now work a lot smoother. Okay, so as we can, yeah, this is looking much better. They're actually kind of all sort of like slowly hovering around, doing their own thing. Okay, so we're gonna need to change this in code then. So I'm up to idle up here. This MMA dot speed equals 1. I'll just make that a float. And then in seek, we're gonna make that 2.5. And then we'll see, or actually we'll just make that 2. And then we'll see how that difference looks in the game. Okay. So if we set this one to seek, we can see that he is kind of moving slowly at the moment. Oh, okay. Thought the game broke then, but it's just because I was setting this. So actually, oh nice, it actually kind of pauses the game. Must be part of the update. So we can definitely see that it is moving faster than the other ones. And sorry, I just realised you guys can't actually see this very well. So I think I'm actually going to change that speed down there. So we've got our states. So another header, movement speeds. And we'll actually just put that underneath the ranges, so it makes more sense in terms of hierarchy. So we'll do public float, idle speed, and then we'll do one for the seek speed. Because then we can actually just change that in a hierarchy instead of having to come into code. We'll just do that there. Pop back into Unity. So I think, yeah, we're definitely going to make the idle speed 1. I think we're gonna boost the seek speed up to 3. But I'd also like to introduce that timer back in, so we can get rid of that commented code. So if find location near player, movement state, locate. So we're gonna add that timer back in down here. And I think we are actually just gonna copy that here. And paste that in, just like so. Just because we want them to kind of wait a little bit. Like we don't actually want them to move straight away. And then let's up that between 2 and 10 to 8 and 12. Or 8 and 15 we'll do. So obviously we'll come in and we'll make changes to these timers. Okay, let's go ahead and test that system out now then. We also still need to make sure that that system's not going to go through the wall. But I think that'll be quite simple to set up because we already have it working for these. Like you can actually see the red lines when they're trying to go through a wall and they don't go through. So let's turn you into sneak or seek even. Currently you're on rest and your timer is going up. I think that's going to be an issue though. Actually, I don't think we want that timer to be so high. We do want the timer to be there, but we want the timer to be like between 1 and 5, I guess. Because we want them to wait a little bit, but we want them to constantly be moving, kind of like you can tell that they're aggroed. So I think this is going to be difficult for me to do now, but in the code later on. Actually, we'll make one now. So we'll make an aggro piece of code, or something to trigger when you aggro a zombie. So private void, aggro zombie, I guess. We'll actually make that public so we can call it later. So aggro zombie, we want to set the movement state to. No, we don't want to do movement state. We want to do current state equals seek. Movement state equals locate. And then we want to do these just here as well. So you want to reset those timers. Actually, we put them on top. So it'll reset the timers and then set. Nope, we'll put them on bottom. I think that makes a lot more sense. And we'll just make it look a little bit neater. So we're going to make the current state seek, movement state locate, max idle time. We're also going to do the target position equals vector 3.0, just when it resets. And we'll also do this. Ooh, I don't know if that picked up, but dot path equals null, just to make it stop. And then it'll kind of reset. So it'll actually stop exactly where it is and then go straight to the player. Okay. So then now if we come up to update and we'll add it in a bool, just so then we can do that from the editor. So public bool aggro activate aggro. So if activate aggro and current state does not equal seek, gonna make it. We are going to Yeah, we'll also make that fast down here as well. We'll actually put that first. Yeah, we'd kind of try and make it look nice, I guess. Do it like that instead. No, this is just me like playing about with it. I just want to make it look nice, but we'll do it like that because it needs to be in the way that it's actually going to work. Because we're gonna deactivate the aggro, get rid of the path, set target as 0, and change the states, reset the timers, and then it should run through this code. So what we can then just do up here is we can just do aggro zombie, and then that'll switch activate aggro off anyway. Okay, we go ahead and press play. We'll test how that happens. If I now actually I'll switch the screen as well so that you can see this. So if I now enable activate aggro, object reference not set to an instance of an object. So that is this anyway, but path is apparently not what reference to an object. Okay, we'll get rid of that then. Well actually we'll make the destination equal transform dot position, because then our destination is exactly where we are. So I guess that's another way to kind of get rid of the path and stop the AI from moving. So let's go ahead and hit play. Give that a little test. Okay, so activate aggro. So we are in seek and it did deactivate it. So you can definitely see that it's moving a lot quicker than the others. That one's a lot slower than this. And for some reason, it's just rotating a lot. I'm not sure if that's slow or like the angular speed, acceleration, stopping distance, auto braking. Maybe we want to turn auto braking off. But again, it's kind of like going through the wall, which is a bit of an issue. That's okay, because we'll work down here, because this is quite a close, tight area. I'll probably make it bigger when we actually come to making the game. But for right now, this is kind of working. It's not quite working as quickly as I'd like it to. And we can see there's definitely some issues there. Like right now, it's kind of trying to get to positions that it doesn't seem like it can. But like there, it kind of like went around the player. So we are definitely going to need to make some adjustments there. I think again though, this is also going to come with making the actual attacks. So what we could do is just kind of make it always be looking at the player. Um, yeah, I think that might be a better idea. Although, so I kind of like this aggro, but think so. I think what we'll do is we'll make this radius wider because the way that I'm designing this isn't actually supposed to be attacking the player. It's kind of supposed to be moving around the player. So if we make this radius bigger, like it should kind of stay down here, if that makes sense. So if we do the max seek range to 8, and we'll do the min to 4. We'll see how that plays out. Because then that should kind of try and get a position up here instead. Though as we're seeing, there's a bit of an issue trying to get to this position right now. So we'll just make that stopping distance 2 again. Oh no, okay. So we'll make that stopping distance 0 and return while we're breaking off. But I think we may have just broken it. So let's go ahead and change that again. So we're gonna make the max seek range to 8, min seek range. We'll make that 3. Make stopping distance 0 and return auto breaking off. Actually, we'll keep auto braking on, just so it's a bit smoother. Okay. Go ahead and press play. Right, so now let's see what it does, because it should kind of try and hover up here instead of coming all the way down. Right now it's on rest, but I don't like that because it shouldn't be. It should have gone straight to. Doesn't seem to be going straight to back to locate, so. Right, okay, so right now we're on a bit of an issue because if we haven't found a location in the player, we go to locate. So if we do this instead. So we're gonna find a location near the player first, and then we're gonna go through and do this timer. I need to get rid of you because for some reason you put that in for me. And then we'll just move that down the line. Okay, so find location near player. So if we haven't found a location near player, okay. So we also need to make that true. Wait for location near player. What does that do? Okay, so we go to rest. Okay, I see. So no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We can do that. That's why it's going straight to rest. So we'll just change it again. So that the timer doesn't actually activate until it's found a location. So if we go ahead and aggro it, we should see that timer start to go. Although it doesn't seem to be showing the same issues. So I think it's something to do with this min seek range. If we set that down to 2, you can see that it has actually found a position down here. Okay. So you see this, yeah, this is what I was talking about last time as well. This is an issue with using this min seek range. And then we've just gone straight to the player. So why? So we've gone from there straight to the player. And then around to the other side of the wall, which is not at all what we wanted. And now you've just gone there. You've gone down here again. So to extend this out a bit, we'll go 10 and we'll put that back to 3. Because we want this to be quite a large radius, kind of. Like we want him to sort of be up here. For some reason, we're not doing that. Go back to 2. So still kind of finding locations that are a little bit too close to the player for my liking. Let's go ahead and add the distance back on. So distance to destination. I'll just go ahead and print that. Just so then we can see where. Actually, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. We want distance to the player. So print vector 3 dot distance transform dot position, and then we'll do the enemy tracking handler dot player transform dot position. Right, hold on, BRB. Right, wait, sorry about that. So we got yes, we got our position to the player. Let's go ahead and see what we're getting now. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, this is a little bit iffy on this. So it's like 10 up there, even though it's not actually 10. Right, and of course you would go the other side of the wall. Right, let's sort that out right now because that's really bugging me. So we have that up here, and it should be working exactly the same as here. We're going from the player position to new position. Out here. Draw a line from player position to hit point. Draw a line from player position. I don't actually think this is even. I don't think this is being called. To be honest. Wait for. What are we doing up here? Yeah, find location in range of player. Uh. Okay. So it seems to be. Yeah, we should be returning vector 30 if it's gonna hit a wall. Let's just. This just doesn't seem to be liking it, to be honest, does it? So, okay, yeah, we'll just. I think this may just be an issue that we're going to run into. I think I might have to just keep that in mind when I'm designing the levels. I'm not sure why it's doing it, because we should still be. So we are seeing like lines up here. Although they don't seem. What are these lines? These lines just kind of seem to be going up. So they seem to be going from the position up instead of from the player's position to that position, if that makes sense. And we'll just change that back to 2. Yeah, the time is going, so it's actually moving. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing lines like this, so I think that might be the issue. I think the issue is something to do with the player position. So player position, player transform dot position. So I just got a notification. Yeah, this seems to be a bit of an issue here, because right from the player pos to the hit point is where we're drawing the line. Although this one is what we're drawing in magenta. So we need to do the player position. Because player transformed or position. Because the lines themselves don't seem to be working. Because I don't know if you can notice. I get in real close. It's not doing it too badly at the moment, but It seems to be, I know you can't see it because it's in like small screen, but it seems to be, here we go, here we go. If I can try and pause it, and I'll switch screen. And you can see that this line here is kind of going up instead of from the player's actual position to there. So I think there's an issue with that because yeah, it seems to just be going up instead of from the player position to that position. Um, so now it seems to be working absolutely fine with all the rest. As we can see this one is actually working from that position and it's going to wherever else. So I think we need to try and figure out why this is, because so the issue looks like the wall block is kind of working, but it's going down. And then I think no, this is on a separate layer anyway. But it still shouldn't be working like this. Let's just go ahead and check this and see what's going on here. So player pause. So I think we'll actually make the player pause y also equal the new pause dot y. Just so it's not offset. Line cast from the player position to the new position, and we're checking for the wall block later. So let's do that there. So it's always doing it instead of just if it doesn't hit something. Just so that we can actually see what it's doing. Come back up here. Of course, you're going around the bloody wall. Driving me round the bend in a minute. Yeah, we can see that these ones are definitely working. See, that's definitely working there. I don't know what he's doing right now. We'll do stopping distance as like 1. We'll turn auto braking off. 0. What are you doing? If we go back into the code, what's the stopping distance? Distance to destination is less than 2. Wait for location near player. Okay. So we see, like right now, it's just trying to go into the wall, and it's still causing issues, which is not ideal. But we will get there. We will get there shortly, hopefully. I at least want to get this part done today. Just so then we can actually start moving on to the attacks. And then we'll start working on the player weapons. Let's go ahead and aggro this zombie. And I need to change that back. So the minimum sneak is, or the minimum seek. Let's leave that as 3 and up this to 15. Then that will give us a wider range. We should actually see that working. Seek, rest. So it still seems to be an issue with this. And that. So it's like the minimum seek range needs to be 2. If I set it to 2, still doesn't work. If I set it to 1, still doesn't work. If I set that to 5, still not doing anything. Set that to 8, still not doing anything. Let's just move you to locate. So now it just seems to be having an issue completely trying to find somewhere to go. Let's change you back to 1 and you back to 8. We'll apply that to all. We'll activate the aggro. So we should be trying to find a location right now. So right now we're in Brest. Find location near player. Target position equals find location in range of player. Find location in range of player. So are we hitting a wall? Maybe? But we're not even doing this line cast. So maybe we are having an issue there. Activate aggro equals true. Ah, we need to set find location to true as well. And we'll just change the current state to rest. No, well, no. Seek. We'll just set you to rest straight away, so you're waiting for a location. Let's go ahead and reset. Just gonna bring the bass down in my voice a little bit. I noticed it last stream, and I forgot to do it before I started streaming. And we are already an hour in. That's my bad. Right, okay. Okay, so timer's all working, it's all working as we need it to. So if we go ahead and activate aggro, time has been set. Activate aggro has come off, but then the timer doesn't seem to be doing anything. So if we found somewhere, seek, rest. So it still seems to just be trying to find somewhere to go that we're having an issue with at the moment. Let's come back out of that and try and figure out where we're going wrong. So find location near player equals true, activate aggro equals false. We'll just double check on that. So doing activate aggro and current state does not equal seek. Or we'll make it equal idle. So it only happens while it's idle. Because if we're attacking, then we don't want to aggro again, if that makes sense. Like we're already aggro. So we'll do that. Find location near player. Target position equals find location in range of player. But then we're not even seeing that. So let's make this public because I want to see whether or not this is actually doing anything. Move that to the above. And I also want to move timers up to the very top. Actually, we'll put them there. Fuck it, we'll just make it public, and then we'll just we'll turn that into a header instead. Timer. Okay. So we'll give that a go. Okay, so find location near player is true. So we're literally just trying to find the location near player. So let's come down here. So we'll do up here else print failed define location near player. Actually, we turn that into a debug. So we'll actually see how that affects it. Okay, so we are just failing to find a position then. So let's make sure that we're actually setting vector 30 properly. So if hit collider does not equal null, so if we've actually hit something, then we're going to return vector 30. If distance is more than minimum range and is positioned within looking angle, return new pos. So are we even getting to this position? Wondering. We do also have this times 50, so let's get rid of times 50 there. We'll shorten that down a little bit, and then we'll see. Let's just print that distance. Because I think it'd actually be a bit easier to have it lower. We also have our fail count down here. So can we see that? Fail count, yes we can. So we don't seem to be failing. The distance is 0. New pause to the player pause is 0. Right, okay. Right. So there's definitely an issue with these ranges. So if we go minus max range to max range, we'll actually do that up here instead. Let's see what that returns. Because I think by the looks of it, it's literally just constantly going there. Right, so we are an aggro. I just want to change this up here, otherwise it's going to bug me. Didn't want to do that. There we go. Right. So you seem to be just getting this far. So a new position equals player pods plus equals max range, max range, 0, 0, max range, max range. So we'll get rid of this y here. And actually I suppose this should be the y of that instead of the y of us. So we'll add that in there, and then if we do the distance from the player to the new position instead, it's not going to make much of a difference, but just for my mind. So do that. We're going to draw a line. So it is guessing to this point, but then it's not going any further. So if the distance is more than the minimum range, and the position is within the looking angle, which is currently 0.5, although we still seem to be failing. And the distance is 0, so print the distance plus new pos. Distance plus new pos. No, I want to do debug.log. I don't want distance plus new pos. I want distance plus. There we go. Okay, so it is actually showing these positions, but and they're not the same position. Let's see what the player is. The player is 21. So you see, this is where it gets confusing because these positions are not the same as the player, but for some reason it's showing a distance of 0 between it. But even so, these lines, so this should still be working as well. Let's change this to a different color just so that we can actually tell the difference. So we're gonna make that black and we're gonna make that stay for 5 seconds, and then we're gonna make this cyan, and again make that 5 seconds. So we are doing a line cast, we are doing a draw line. If the distance is more than equal to the min range, then we'll go there. So this is going to be an issue because for some reason the distance is registering as 0 when it is actually not. But then, so the thing that I don't understand is why is the distance not working down here, but the distance was working up here. You see, that's from the position to the destination. I do the player position. So what we could actually just do is do this instead. No, because we want the player pause. Oh, this is so frustrating because it should be working. Like, there's actually no reason why this shouldn't be working. And that is a float, isn't it? Yeah, float distance. We'll try and times that by 50 and see what the output is. See if there's a difference in output, if it's just still going to be 0. It might just be a really small number. Is that still on 0? Okay. So yeah, this is where it's gonna get more tricky, and I think I'm gonna have a little look online just to try and see what's going on. See if there's any help. Might be an issue in just the version of Unity. Unity. Uh, so maybe. Right, let's try a different way of getting distance. So this is still saying. Right. Oh, this is frustrating. Uh, am I just doing something? What am I just doing wrong? Because this just doesn't seem to be working at all. So the new position equals the player position plus equals and we'll switch this over so you guys can get a better view. So new position equals player position plus equals random range minus max range 0 random range. Maybe we do I don't know if this is gonna be. Maybe we just do a manual range instead of doing this whole distance. So let's just make a okay. Let's just make a new script. Private vector 3. Get position within range of and then we do the center position. We'll do a max range and a minimum range. And then this will actually work a little bit better, to be honest. So minimum range. If we I think I've just figured out a way to do this. No, because it's still gonna. Okay, let's get our right float range x, float range y. So if we do x equals min range plus random dot range Then we'll do 0 to max range minus min range. That's like the remaining range. And then we'll do that for both of them. And then we'll do vector 3. I'll actually make this up here. So vector 3 position equals new vector 3. And we'll do position dot x equals actually we'll just have this up here. Let's do position dot x position dot z equals that. We'll do position dot y equals the center position dot y. We actually want to do that. So center position dot x plus that plus that. Z. So we're just going to completely manually make this, and then we'll try and shorten it down later. And then we're going to do an int and num equals random dot range from 0 to 10, and if ran number is more than 4, actually we'll do more than 5. We'll just split it straight down the middle, and we'll make that 11. So if it's more than 5, we'll do rounding, so more than equal to 5. We'll do position dot x. Actually, we get rid of all that, so we're not going to add the position there. Position dot x times equals -1, so we'll flip it, and then we'll copy this again, and we'll do that for the y. And we can actually get rid of that in there. So we're going to randomize it, flip the x, randomize it again, flip the y, or the z even, actually. And then it will return center position plus position. We'll actually just call it offset. Like so. And then hopefully this should just give us a position without having to do the distance vectors. So new pos equals get position within range of, and we'll do player pos the max range, min range, like so. And then we'll also do that for we'll also do that for the fun location up here. So we'll do center position range and 0 because it's just from wherever it is. Then we're not doing any distance in up here. Then this distance we don't actually need anymore, so we can just get rid of that because we're not basing it off distance anymore. We can go like so. We can also actually just put you back down there. Okay, so this should hopefully fix this bug, and actually make this work a lot better. So let's go ahead and test it out. So if we just restart, And then we go to the enemy. We activate aggro. So we're seek, we're resting. Our timer is going up. We're actually moving to the player now. And we actually saw that line coming from the player. Which is actually looks like it's working a lot better. I think the distance was an issue. So we can see here where it's hitting the walls. And its final location. So this actually looks like it's working a lot better. This looks like it's doing what we need it to. That's perfect. So it's keeping within distance up here. It's actually still getting close to the player. But it's not going through the wall. As we can see here by the raycasting that is actually working. Oh my god. We've actually got this working. Okay, sweet. Ugh. This is very blissful. Okay, so for some reason it seems to be getting like multiple points that it could be going to. So I think let's try and edit the code a little bit just to make it a bit more efficient. Because we see up here, find location near player, target position does not equal vector 30. Find location near player equals false. So let's hard code that into the find location in range of player. And then if it equals 0, then we'll debug. So we go definition. What was that? Find location near player equals false. We're gonna do that here. And then we'll return a new position. Let's see how that goes. Because I'm not sure exactly why it's doing it. But it just seems to be finding like multiple locations that it could go to and then not going there. Let's just try and reduce that a little bit for CPU usage. Well, yeah, you see here, so the black lines it could go to, but for some reason it's not. And I'm actually wondering if that's to do with the ranges. So, although no, because we have hard coded the ranges now, so because it's not actually working on distance anymore, it's actually just gonna find somewhere specifically. But already though, we can see that the actual performance of this is working drastically. Like it's actually working properly. The only thing that I don't like is the fact that it's not really facing the player. But we can also up this. So if we up this minimum seek distance to 5, we should start seeing it go straight up there. Although now it seems to be doing this weird thing. Okay, that's not. Okay, so we seem to just be flipping it like so. I'm not sure I like this, to be honest. If I change that back to 1, then it's actually going all the way around. So let's change that slightly. So we will go into here and we'll just do the maximum range between 0 and okay, so yeah, so we go between 0 and maximum range, and then we're going to times it randomly, and I think we'll just go between 0 and 2 because then that'll go 0 and 1. So that'll just be like 50% of the time it's just going to change. And that should hopefully be a little bit better, just because it was, I kind of see what it was doing. I think it was getting too lost in the in the minimum range for the maximum range to even be working. Um, so we'll just have a little play around with that now. So we'll make you aggro. We can see all the positions that are coming up. If we turn that back to 5, make that maybe like 12. We'll see him coming down here. We can actually make this speed a bit faster now as well. If we turn you up to like 5. So you'll see now, like, this is kind of working, but it, like, there's areas that it's just not going to. And that's because, so we're going off that way and then that way. So if we do this instead, equals minimum range, then we'll do offset dot x plus equals max range divided by 2, and then we'll just duplicate that. And then we'll do z equals minimum range offset dot z plus equals max range divided by 2 again. So we'll just break this up. And actually we'll go by 3. Just because then we can, what's the word? Then we can actually just kind of make it, and then it's kind of more random, if that makes sense. So yeah, we're gonna start with the minimum range. And actually we can just do that up here, to be honest. So let's just separate those a little bit, and we'll just do min range 0 min range. And I think yeah, I think maybe keep this. I think so this is the issue here. I think maybe we want to add to the ranges instead. Well, we'll give this a try, see if it works. Did I save it? Yes, I did. Let's go ahead, pause, restart. I actually want to restart that again because I want to change the speed. That is up here. So seek speed goes to 5. Just set that to all. We'll aggro them. About to find the position like 20 times. Right, where's that debug coming from? Because I don't want any more debugs for distances. Up here, no. There it is. So we get rid of that. Because we don't need a distance no more. We're not working with that anymore. You'll see this is actually working a lot better. You can see there's a lot more positions where it can go. Although it does seem to be running quite a lot of position testing. So we'll see how that goes in terms of performance for the moment. But it is literally just hovering around up here. But we want to try and keep these lower. So maybe if we... so that minimum seek range is on 1. So So the annoying thing, it's trying to keep this here because it's literally just going X, Y, but then it's kind of going like so. So I think let's try and break these up again. So I'm just gonna duplicate and do 4 on them. And actually, I'm gonna put this into a for statement just because it's starting to get a bit chunky now. So for I equals 0, I less than 4, I plus plus. Then we're just gonna do that there, and we'll do that there as well. Divided by 4. And we'll just actually make it in up here. Max max segments 4. Just then we actually have like a defined variable that we can change. And then I think this is causing us issues as well. So if we like so this is the issue with trying to get position testing done. I think maybe if we add them together. No, this is where it starts to become technical because you're trying to. I'll switch screens so then you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Like we just turn this into a for statement so it just loops through. It's this bit here that I think is causing our kind of crosshairing. Like where it's just going across and like up and down. So I want to try and get rid of it, but I'm not sure how to at the moment. I think maybe if we do that to 10, we'll do if it's less than 5. I know this is kind of how we had it before anyway, but I want to see how this will work compared to that. And then if we actually change that to 5, we should see a little bit of difference. And we can actually turn that into... Okay, yeah, so that's going to go into a float, but we'll change this into a float anyway. So then this actually works properly. So the max range is also a float. Okay, perfect. So we can see it's kind of still going, I guess. Let's add our minimum range here. Just then, and then we'll do this instead. So we'll divide it here. And we'll get rid of this in here. We should hopefully then see a little bit more of a difference in terms of range. Oh, I found a position. Okay. And again. So it still seems to be kind of finding these positions quite well. But then again, it's still kind of still keeping within this, I guess. Okay, maybe we need to look at this in a different way. Because this just isn't like it's working, but it's not the way that I need it to work. Right, let me get a notepad out. I think I need to actually write this down and try and figure out. And while I'm up, I'm just gonna go grab something, so I'll be back in a minute. I think I might have thought of a way to try and solve this. So let's go down here and we're just going to normalize it. And then we're going to times that by the max range. Because then that should hopefully give us a bit more of like a circular movement or circular testing. Let's see what happens here. Doesn't really seem to be doing it. Give it a minute though. Yeah, it's still kind of just doing the same thing a little bit. It's actually puzzling me because I kind of want it to work like this. These it's kind of okay on, just because they're kind of moving in those positions anyway, like the directions. But what I want for this is I want it to kind of like go up here a bit, if that makes sense. So let's try to do it like this instead. Actually, let's have a look online. Fuck it. Google is the oyster. Right, Unity. Okay, I think I might have just stumbled across something that is really gonna work exactly how I want it to. So let's give that a go. We're in an annulus. Ooh. Yeah, I think this is actually gonna work exactly how I need it to. Okay, yeah, we'll try this. Okay, right. Yeah, this is actually exactly what I need. So let's go ahead and use this code instead. Apparently we can actually just do it in a single line of code. Uh, vector 2 does not contain a definition for turns a random point inside or on a circle with a radius 1. Ah, okay. So we do min, max, and then we can just get rid of all this. And we'll just do turn new vector 3, center position dot x plus offset dot x. Center position dot y, center position dot z plus offset dot y. And we'll see how that goes. Apparently this is going to work a lot better. It looks like it's actually going to go around in a circle of the position. So let's have a look. Going to go like in random directions. Oh my god, this is fucking genius. This is exactly what I need it to be. Okay, so if we change that minimum seek angle to 5, we should see him kind of leaving the player alone a little bit. Oh my fucking days. This is exactly what I've needed. So it actually goes around in a circle, and it picks location, and it's actually going to do that for these guys as well. So you notice these are a lot more sporadic in terms of like randomization in circles. These ones you can actually see are kind of going in the direction that they are facing. This one looks like it's actually kind of fucking the player up a little bit, which is good. We want to try and do like an animation curve though around the player instead, although this looks like it's working beautifully. So let's go ahead and change these stats down here because this is going to be hovering around the player. So we'll go 15, or we'll go 8 and 15, the min and the max. The idle range we'll keep at 5 because we want to keep them kind of where they are. Let's go ahead and switch this over. Let's go ahead and aggro you. We can see that you're actually picking somewhere. Then you'll go in there. So what we could actually do is have the cylinder facing the player constantly. Let's go ahead and do that now. So we'll go in here, or the capsule even. So if I parent that to the capsule, and then I do the enemy movement AI while we are seeking, we want to get the rotation to the player. So let's just add a notation in here. Switch over as well. Rotate model to face player. So we'll do float of, we'll get vector 3 direction equals, we do have it, so it's a tracking dot there transform dot position, transform dot position. So that's the direction that we need to go in. And we do a float, rotation equals vector 3 dot look for its right angle. Calculate the angle between vectors from and. Oh, so if we actually do this instead. That's between rotation just there. Well, actually no, because we want the direction, not the angle. And then we do, let's get a reference to it. So reference, serialized field, private, transform this model. Yeah, we can leave all that in the order there. Then we come down to here and we go this model dot transform dot rotation equals actually we wanna fix this up a little bit. So vector 3 player pos equals to that, and then we want to do player pos dot y equals no, we don't want to transform dot position y, we want that as this model dot transform dot position dot y. Then the direction is going to be between the player pos and this model dot transform dot position. And we do the rotation equals quaternion dot look rotation direction. And then we'll do this in idle equals quaternion dot Euler, and then we'll just make that 0, so it just like resets. And we'll actually make this a lerp. Quaternion dot lerp this model dot transform dot rotation to the look direction. There's no argument that corresponds with parameter t. Oh, need a rotation speed, movement speeds, public float, model rotation speed, or we'll do look rotation speed because it's gonna actually look at the player, I guess. And then we'll do that times time dot delta time. We'll actually do that up here as well. And we'll replace the look rotation there. Then if we go ahead and add that in just down here, and we'll make that rotation speed something like 8, I guess. And we'll see how that goes. So it should stay in the face that it's looking in the direction that it's moving while it's idle. It doesn't look like it's doing that, but what we can actually do is so we can actually do the look rotation as transform dot forward. Yeah, there we go. So it's actually facing the way that it's going to be looking. And then we also have like kind of like a little bit of a lag when we rotate, I guess. Or maybe not. And then if we go to aggro, then there we go. Yeah, so it's just looking straight at the player and it's coming straight to it. And then it's just gonna chill down here. Gonna constantly be looking at the player. It's gonna move over, but it's still looking at the player. So let's up that a little bit. So let's make that like 15 on a rotation. 30. Let's actually up that to 50. It's being times by delta time. There we go. It is actually keeping within range. It's just staring instead at the player. Or staring straight at the player even. I think we need to increase our range. So if I make that 10 as the minimum. Oh, and we've just pushed the player into the wall. Well, no, we're like on top of the player now, so so we're actually picking up the player. Okay. Where is the player? Player object. Let's move you out. There we go. Now you're actually going to move around while looking at the player. You're just looking wherever you're looking. We're going to continuously look at the player. Okay, you're going to hit the player while you walk past. You're going to chill next to the player. Then let's actually see how this is going to work while I'm moving around. So I think this is a potential downside. Oh, for some reason you're not all the way over there. Okay. Idle. Wait, which one's aggro then? Okay, so I guess let's just reset it. So we'll aggro you again. Then we should see you kind of walking towards a player a bit. The player's kind of walking away. Then you're actually going to follow the player. I think maybe we can slow the player down. Okay, perfect. So that is actually kind of working. But we need to bring that timer down. So we'll do that 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. And it's just like a 2-second kind of gap. And we'll see how we do on that anyway. And then we need to adjust the player speed, make them a little bit slower. So let's go into the movement handler. What are they at now? 5. So let's make that like 3. And let's go ahead and play. And I'm gonna switch over just so then you guys can see this a bit better. So we can still shoot, that's all working fine. For some reason we just aren't moving though. Does that need to be 5? Right, okay, so 5 minimum. 4, 3. Okay, I'm not sure. Not sure what was going on there. So let's just aggro you. And if we go to a player, I'm just going to disable the weapon handler. Basically, you're finding a location around the player. So yeah, we can actually see him kind of coming towards the player a bit. Although now the player's just kind of gone way off. So we're gonna need that to kind of be constant. So let's just actually get rid of that timer. Um, just because like we're waiting on finding a position anyway, so there will be a little bit of a delay between them. Right. Let's try that as such, and we've got right. So we've got seek speed on 5, idle speed on 1, look rotation on 8. Let's go ahead and play. I'm gonna disable the shooting on the player as well, so then we can't like kill the zombie. That's not what I want at the moment. Okay, perfect. So we can still walk around though. What is the player movement on? 3. Okay, so it is actually working. I don't know why it stopped working beforehand. So let's aggro the zombie. Just gonna try and find a location. Just gonna get there. Just gonna find a location there. So I think we need to update that. So let's go. So this is going to be a problem with the distancing, I think, because we need to try and find a way to figure out how far the player has moved and if the zombie just needs to start moving to follow the player instead of just waiting till it gets to its position. So like if that position gets too far from the player, I think we're gonna have to use vector distance. So let's bring up another one. So movement ranges, min seek range, max seek range, and then we'll do public float min player move range. It's like if the player moves too far from that position, then it will just ignore it and like get a new position near the player. And then if we go down to seek, we've got locate and then move to. We'll just add in here. So if distance to destination is less than 2, or, and I'm gonna need to find an or. Have I got one in here somewhere? I don't. Let me get one from Google because I don't have one on my keyboard. It's frustrating. Or symbol unity. For vector 3 dot distance transform. No, not transform. Target position to the player position, which we can get from our enemy tracking handler. The player transformed position is more than min player move range. Then we're gonna reset the position, wait for a new one. Yes, and then we can set that down here. So let's set that to 8 for the moment and see what happens. Obviously, we can have a little play around with it and see what works better. Let's also update you. You're already updated. Okay. Right, and let's just disable the weapon by default. Right, let's go ahead and see how this works now. So we'll aggro the zombie. So we can see that the player is actually away from the location. So if I start, there we go. So if I start moving away from the position, it's going to find somewhere else to go to. So if I actually get too far from where it's going to now, it's just going to find somewhere else based on the player. And actually, this is working really well, to be honest. I thought the vector distance would break it. And 8 seems to be kind of like a round number to kind of keep it near the player. You see, if I actually just get too far away from where it's going, it's just going to pick somewhere else and then start going there. But it's still going to be looking at the player, so it's not actually going to look like it's like moving around or anything. And we can still see it on the map down here. So it is actually following us quite quickly. And definitely keeping up to speed. Obviously we can see that it kind of like sits around. That definitely feels like kind of like a zombie running after us at least. And we can definitely see like from down here that like all the debug and that is actually working properly because we can see where it's testing for a position. So if we actually run around the map, it kind of keeps up with us instead of just kind of waiting somewhere or getting stuck on a wall. So if we was like running from a horde of these things, then they'd actually like make a lot more sense. Okay, sweet. So let's go to the player object. We'll disable the health handler. And then I'm just gonna make all of these aggro. So I want to see how the game handles all of these guys just kind of chasing us. Okay. So yeah, to me, that looks like a horde of zombies. That looks pretty sick actually, to be fair. They're all just literally just facing me. They're all trying to get to me. Okay, sweet, sweet. Yeah, it literally looks like I'm being chased. And that's perfect. Hold on, BRB. Alright, I'm just gonna go put some washing on, seeing as all that's actually working exactly how I want it to. And then I guess when I come back, we'll start looking at making. Right, so. Right, yeah, so we got the following to happen. Now this is gonna be the hard part because now we need to get the attacking happening. Right. Let me just try and think about how I'm gonna do this because we have on our game manager, we have the AI manager. And I think we're going to use this to handle most of the game logic. So, like well, not the game logic, but the AI logic in terms of like changing states. So, I'm going to use this to test whether like a player is near a zombie or. Okay, no, we'll get to that bit later. Let's actually get these states working and then we can change how they're activated. So, right now, yeah, like I said, everything's working. It's working exactly the way that I need it to. But we need to actually work on getting the enemies to attack the player. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky because I'm not sure whether to do it with animations or with a sequence of code. And I'll explain why in just a second. Let me just try and think what's going to be better. Because basically, what we want to happen is like, so if I distract this enemy, when the enemy's like kind of hovering around, we want it to just go into the player and then go back out. Because then they can all kind of like take turns, just going straight into the player. Or actually, we'll just have it go straight to the player. I think, to be honest, because like let's face it, it's a zombie. Like you know, it's gonna be like hoarding over here, and then they're just gonna individually like one by one kind of keep going to the player, and then we can just change how often that happens based on the difficulty like, of the current level, like the level of the player. So we kind of do it like kamikaze style. Like once the enemy is going to attack the player, it's just going to chase the player. It's just going to go straight to the player. Um, let's go to attack, and we will copy this switch, and we will also copy this up here, because we want it to actually just face the player. Why are you doing that? Already defined in this scope. Okay, so let's do this up here outside of the state. Then we can actually just get rid of it there as well. And then that shortens it to just one line of code. And then again there as well. Okay, sweet. So we want to move to right. Let me just figure out exactly what I'm gonna do here. Set destination to the player, and then move to if the distance to destination is less than 2 or target position to wait for location near player. I think we can just take that off. So if we're going to locate, we can literally just go straight to the player. So we can do the player's position from the tracking handler. Position. So we can literally just set the destination to that. Oh, that's me. Right. So I'm going to set destination to the player. We're going to move to it. And then we can still do distance destination. We can get rid of the target position on there. So we'll just do if path status, path invalid, wait for location near player. We'll actually just go back to locate. Just to get the position of the player again. And then if distance destination is less than 2. Actually, I think we can just get rid of that completely. And we can just go back to locate. We can get rid of rest, which is not going to use that at all. We can add that onto there. Then we can also get rid of the player range because like we're just going straight to the player. And then we'll get rid of rest. So go to player. Get player position. Yeah, so get player position, go to player. I'll change that to destination there as well. Okay, so let's give that a try. So yeah, this should be quite simple, getting it to go to the player. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we're also, hold up, before we do that, so the enemy tracking handler will make another list of enemy AI movement. And we'll do aggro enemies equals new list. And then we'll do an update function, make a new one. So we'll make that private void set random aggro to attack. So basically what we want to do is we want to So when an enemy goes to aggro, we're gonna move them into this list, and then we're gonna go in there and then just set random attacks, and then we'll also do public list. So we actually just do that again. Let's just duplicate that. Attacking enemies. Because then we just keep track of what all the enemies are doing, and then we can make adjustments on that based on like how we want the difficulty to be done, like later on. So we're gonna want to set random aggro to attack. We also want to check if aggro zombies are still aggro. So we'll do private void update aggro list. And I think what we'll do is we'll actually just clear the list and then just go through enemies and seeing again and then just checking it. So we'll do that first. So aggro enemy, look, there we go, already knows what I want to do. Dot clear. And then for each zombie in enemies and scene, if zombie dot current state equals seek, and aggro enemies dot contains the zombie, and we'll actually put an exclamation mark, so that needs to be false. So if it doesn't contain it, we're then just gonna add it in. Aggro enemies dot add zombie. So I'll just cycle through and just update that list. Let's move this one above because we're gonna call this one first in the update. And then we'll call this inside here. So we'll do update aggro list. And then we'll do enemy movement AI. So we're just going to grab a random one from the aggro list. And actually we'll check the attacking enemies as well. So like basically with the attacking enemies, they're either going to kill the player or the player's going to kill them. They're not really going to go back to idle. I think that's the way that I'm going to design it, just because if they're kind of already attacking, they're already kind of ready, if that makes sense. Like they're all or nothing, just zombies are just going to go for it. So we're going to check if attacking enemies dot count is more than, no, we'll do less than, and we'll do, let's just split these up with a header. We'll do zombie lists, tracking, actually we'll call it tracking lists. Then under this, I'm going to do public in max tracking count. And obviously we'll make that dynamic at some point, so then it actually adjusts to the player's difficulty. So if attacking enemies dot count is less than max attacking count, we're gonna get a random enemy from the aggro list. So we'll do enemy movement, rand enemy. Or actually we'll call it enemy, yeah, because I might change them from zombies. Like some of them might be zombies, some of them might not be. So let's actually change that here. Or like they'll be zombies, but they won't be normal zombies, if that makes sense. So just for the use of the code, let's just change that. Equals, and we'll just get a random one. So we'll do aggro enemies random range 0 to aggro enemies dot count, and then if attacking enemies contains random enemy, or if it doesn't, we're then going to add it. So attacking enemies dot add random enemy. Just turn that into a false. So if it doesn't contain it, we're gonna add it, and we're also gonna set it to attack. So then we're gonna do random enemy dot current state equals attack. Then we're gonna need a timer for how often this updates. So just add that in up here. We'll do public in update timer and then max update time. So just do a quick little timer here. So if update timer less than max update time, it's gonna increase that. Else update timer equals 0, and then we set random aggro to attack. We will also do here and aggro enemies dot count is more than 0 because we might not actually have any aggro zombies, so I'm gonna make sure that doesn't break. I'm just gonna blow. Bless me. I'm just gonna blow my nose quick. Sweet, and apologies for that. I've just realised that that entire time I haven't even had this maximised. So yeah, hopefully you can kind of see what we're doing here. So we're just gonna update the aggro list. So we're just gonna clear it, and then we're gonna go through all the enemies in scene. If their current state is seek and they're not already in the aggro list, then we're gonna add them. And then we're gonna set a random one to attack. So we're gonna update the list before we do this. I'm gonna make sure that the attacking enemies is less than a certain amount, and that we actually have some aggro. And then we're just gonna go through. We're randomly gonna pick one from the aggro, and if it's not in the attacking, then we're gonna add it to the if it's not already attacking, then we're gonna add it to that list and then make it attack. And then the next time we set a random aggro to attack, it should be cleared because it will get cleared down here. So we don't actually need to remove it from the aggro list in this piece of code here. So this is all set up. This should basically work. So let's go ahead and test the actual attacking state. So if I go ahead and set one to attacking. So let's just find you. Where are you? So let's set you to attack. Attack, rest. Okay, so if we're in attack, if movement state equals rest, and actually we can just put that in here. So case rest break. Just because it was already rest, we're just gonna set the movement state to locate. Let's go ahead and see that happening. Hopefully we're about to see some magic going on. Right, so there we go. So we can actually see that its target location is the player. We're also going to need an attacking speed. So let's go ahead and add that in. So we have idle speed, seek speed, duplicate that, attack speed, and then we're just gonna add that in down here. This anyway, speed equals attack speed, and then we'll change that in Unity. So right, so seek speed is on 5. Let's just set that to 8 because we want it to be slightly faster, but we don't want it to kind of take the piss a bit. 5 is perfect for kind of following the player. I feel like 8 should probably be alright. The look rotation, we're also going to set that to 50. Or, yep, 50. Because I must have set that in play instead of here. So let's go ahead and try that again. Go back to the scene, set you to attack, and then yeah, see. So you're literally just going to go straight to the player and start attacking them. And then we should see, yeah, our health is just going to keep going down. It's just going to keep going into us. So we can't actually go left at all here. But we can do our dash. So if you press space, and you can actually just dash. And this is literally just going straight for the player, isn't it? So if I'm just walking, it's going to catch up, but I can dash away from it, so I can still get away. We also want to try and make that movement a little bit smoother. So I actually think, because we have this part here, so all of this is actually in active state, in fixed update. So let's set destination to the player, and then when we get less than 2, we're gonna go there, but we also want it, so then if the player moves away from it, so let's add this piece back in, because we do actually want that, to be fair. So if the player gets too far from the target destination, so we do the destination to the player's position is more than, say, 1, then it's just going to update and get another position, and then it's just going to keep tracking the player basically. So hopefully this should be quite smooth. And then we'll just kind of see what happens. And actually, because that's going to the player, let's change that to 1. We actually do want it to go straight to the player. So let's go ahead and press play. I'm going to set that to a attack. Then we see that it is actually going straight to the player. It's literally just walking straight into the player. Kind of looks a lot smoother. So we can actually get away if we want to. We can see that it is actually just following the player completely. You can see this is actually quite difficult to try and get away from. But I think that's kind of how we want it. For the moment at least, like the whole system is working, and then all of these things can be changed. So just imagine like 5 of these changing you like this, like you're just gonna end up dying, aren't you? Okay. Right, and also let's just change that on the player. I notice that stayed at 10 instead of going down to 0. So we're just gonna set their health here to equal 0. But other than that, it looks like the entire system is working. Now we just need to set them to aggro and choose the attack range. So if I enable the weapons again on the player. Just gonna go ahead and apply all. Go to the AI manager and also fix that timer, because it really bugs me when it does that. I don't know why. So I get it, like there's two, but it's still the same header. Okay. Right, there we go, that's much better. So let's put that update timer to something like 45. No, we don't want it to take a full second. And let's also go in there and make that time delta. So update timer plus equals 1 times time dot delta time. Cannot convert float to in. Alright, yep. That should be a float. Just make that a float as well. So we have most of this system working at the moment. It's literally just making them so they go aggro, and then they should automatically go to attack. So if we get rid of the enemies in the list for the moment, so max attack and count. Let's say we have 3 at a time. And I guess we can actually make this random instead of a set time. So if I get rid of that, well, actually, no, we'll keep that. But if we make that private, actually, no, we'll make it public. Just so then we can see it in the hierarchy. And then down here, we'll set that to max. Let time equals random dot range. And we'll go between 45 to 180. Just so that it's not constantly the same, and we'll make that 181 just because of the way that random range works. And then that should be like that. So I think what we need to do is we need to test the player's position and see if the enemy is actually looking at it. So I'm gonna actually gonna make a new script for that. I'm just gonna call it like enemy detection handler or something. Let's go ahead and move you there. We'll actually move you up a bit as well. Just because I like to keep like the Unity components together, and then my scripts. We'll also make the enemy movement AI up there, damage on player touch, enemy health. That's absolutely fine. So we'll do enemy detection handler. So we'll also kind of possibly try and make this work with sound. I'm not entirely sure yet, but we'll see how we go with that, I guess. So if you go into here, let's just make a simple one. Just do private. Actually, we'll make it public. So then if we shoot a zombie, we can make it aggro as well. The public void. Set to aggro. Or enable aggro, I guess. Enable aggro. Or force aggro, I guess. No, we'll just do enable aggro. So an enable aggro actually comes to false. That's fine, because then I'm going to do it in the future that if the player gets too far, then the aggro is lost, as long as they're not attacking. So yeah, that's fine, that's fine. We'll just do it like this for the moment. So if I get a reference to the enemy movement AI, enemy movement AI, just call it that with a lowercase. Again, we'll make a header, references, and we can see what that is in the hierarchy. Then we're gonna do enemy movement AI dot current state sync. That's only one equal, but we also want to do a check to make sure that it's in idle. So if actually no, because we already have a thing for this. So enemy AI dot aggro zombie. We'll change that. Activate aggro. Again, earlier on I was saying about not having it like zombie reference, like we actually just want it to be within like the context of the game. Okay, so we have enable aggro, and then we need to do a public void. We do a public bool. Player is player invisible visible range. Okay, then we're also gonna need up here, so header visual section. We do public float angle range, and then we'll do another one public float distance range. So is player invisible range, and we'll get, so we'll pass the player through, so vector 3 player pause, because we can just get our transform from this. So we'll do if vector 3 dot dot, and we'll do transform dot position player pause is less than angle range, and vector 3 dot distance. I don't like using this, but I think we're gonna have to here. Dot distance transform dot position player pause is less than distance range. Turn true. Return false. And then we'll, in the enemy movement AI, inside of idle at the very end, we'll check that. So if we do get component enemy detection handler, dot is player invisible range, and then if we get that from the, oh, we actually have the player pause, so we can just pass that through player pause, and we'll make that into an if statement. If that is in range, current state equals sync. So if we are idle but we can see the player, then we're gonna go towards a player, and then we'll handle that in here. And I think that's basically it. If we go into the enemy health, what is it? Enemy health handler. So it should be take damage. Is that actually here? So if activate aggro, so it's not actually already here. So if current state equals idle, then we'll do this. Don't want to do it otherwise. Okay. So yeah, this is just for a force aggro up here. And now we can actually get rid of that as well. Force aggro from hierarchy. Oh, I hate spelling that word. I don't know how it's spelled. not a word that I use very often or spell very often. Force aggro from hierarchy. Then the activate aggro isn't going to work properly. Or it is going to work properly. Yeah, it is all going to work. And then we need to go to the health handler in the enemy. And then when we take damage, just at the end here, it's going to go get component, enemy detection handler, dot enable aggro. So if we shoot the zombie, it then should become aggro. But I also need to figure out the distance to the player. So, right, angle range we'll do 0.3. Like they're quite dumb. And have I really? Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I've just been in Unity that whole time, haven't I? So, detection handler. So we're doing the dot dot, the vector 3 dot, testing against the angle range, and then we're testing the distance to the player. And then we've also got our activate aggro. So then when we get hit, we're going to activate that. And then in the enemy movement, we've just added this line here. So if the player is in visible range, then we're going to go to seek. So let's go ahead and see how that works in game. And I'm actually going to play properly and see what happens. And actually, I have a bit of an issue here. Was right, so when we go, I don't want to do that. I want to do the activate aggro. And then in activate aggro, I need to add this to the tracker. Oh no, because the tracker is actually going to do it itself. Going to be tracking, yeah, update aggro list, and then set random aggro to attack. And then basically the attack is either dead or it will just kill the player. So we've enabled the aim handler. Right, let's go ahead and test this then. And if I keep an eye on the AI manager, we should see the aggro and the attacking. Let's just lock that. Okay, let's go ahead and play. And actually, I think we need to link something in the enemy. Yes, we do. The enemy movement AI. What do we actually use that for? I suppose we can just get a component for that, can't we? So get component, enemy movement AI. But you don't actually need a reference for that because it's not going to be called very often. We also need the distance as well, so let's set that to like 5. So we actually have to get close to the zombie. Right, so let's go ahead and press play, see what happens. So right now, don't have any aggro. If I get close to this one, oh, I'm like right in front of it, but it's not aggro. Actually, it looks like it's just kind of popping off. Uh, so this, but no idea what this is doing. I think we need to add a material there, so the physics material. So let's go ahead and create a physics material for friction. And we'll just leave that as it is, I guess. And we'll add that to the zombie. We'll also add that to the player. Okay, because we don't really want them sliding. Let's go ahead and give that another go. And I think we'll print this out as well. So print, just so then we can actually see what the distances are. Okay, so for some of them, they're a decent amount. Like if I actually get close to this one, do we see anything go under 5? So 5 is like there. So why are you not going aggro? Should be looking at me. Where are we testing the aggro? I think let's test that at the beginning of our idle instead, and then we'll do else. We don't want it to do everything else unless it's idle. That'll just take it straight out of idle. I know you guys can't see this very well, but I'm just moving code around at the moment. Go ahead and use that like that. It's work now. So I've just walked straight past it. Oh, this one's gone out. This one is, yep, and it's gone to attack. If I just go into the AI manager, yep, so we can actually see that. So, there we go though. So we actually hit it, it's just gonna go straight for it. And it's gonna be attacking me. There we go. But it's not on the aggro list. No, I can't actually see this one. Why are you not on the aggro list? Right, yeah, we need this list to actually be constantly updating. So enemy tracking. We'll update the aggro list constantly. Actually no, we just need this to run a lot quicker. So let's take that down to like 10 to 50 or 51 we'll do. Or actually we'll do between 2 and 8 or 2 and 10. We don't want it to be too quick, but we want it to be reactive to what's going on. And like update all the like whatever enemy is gonna attack us. Go ahead and press play. This guy's aggro, this guy's aggro. That one's attacking now. Why can't we see these lists? Uh, yeah, these lists should be here, or I suppose we are clearing it, but let's keep an eye on that timer and see what happens. Nope, those lists just disappear. Okay. Um, so instead of clear, we'll get rid of that. We'll copy this. We'll go all enemies in aggro enemies. If equals seek or does not equal seek, then we'll just remove it. Remove. So we're going to go through, we're going to test each one. If it's not in seek mode, then we'll remove it. And then we'll go through all the enemies in scene. If it's in seek, but it's not in that list, then we'll add it. But yeah. Yeah, because then we don't clear it, we just update it, and then we can actually just pop that straight into the update there instead of in here. And then the attack should be absolutely fine, just leaving it like that. We can also set the max update timer to 0. Go ahead, press play. Those lists are still disappearing, and I'm not entirely sure why, because they should just be staying there. Like, there's nothing here. Right, actually, we'll do if aggro enemies dot count is more than 0. And we'll also do if enemies in scene dot count more than 0. I mean, like, it always kind of will be, but in some cases we might spawn them in instead of like having them already there. So let's see how that affects it, because I want to be able to see them here, and I'm not sure why. There we go. There we go. So we can actually see it now. Okay, perfect. And then if we bring so if we actually bring that to, because there was an issue with the angle range, and let's actually change that as well. So we won't change it, but we'll adjust it to make it a range of 0f to 1f, just like so, and then we'll make that 0.5. Make that 0.5 because the view angle up here had to be 0.5 as well. So I'm wondering if, yeah, I mean that should work anyway. I mean, like, we can have a play about with it and adjust it anyway. But I just want it to kind of be triggered. Just now I know that it is actually working. Okay, so let's just kind of see what that one does. Just close these down a bit. I move towards it. Doesn't seem to be triggered, but I am within distance. If I pass through in front. Oh, there we go. We can actually see it is. It's just rotating. It doesn't look like it's aggro. Looks like it's just kind of rotating a bit. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, but okay. I guess that does the same thing, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. There we go. You might want to slow these bullets down as well, because they are just going rapid. But by the looks of it at the moment, it is actually working. Okay. Also want to adjust that rotation. So we're going to raycast straight to the player. If there's nothing in between, it will look at the player. If not, then it will look at where it's going. So we'll do that here. We'll do a if physics dot raycast, and no, we'll do a linecast transform dot position layer pos. We'll do walk block layer. So if there's something in between us, we will go to forwards. Else, we'll look at the player. And we'll actually do that as well down here. Like, we shouldn't need it, but just in case. And let's just set our attack speed up here as well, just so it looks a little bit neater. Bring up these spaces. like so. So we're always going to be looking where we're going in idle and in those modes. So let's just go ahead and test it out, see how that feels. Okay, so if we're just walking around. Actually, let me try and up that range a little bit just to see. Where was it? It was on the detection handler. So if we set that to maybe like 10. Well, if not, then we'll do like a box glider, I guess. Uh, that might actually be better and easier to visualize. Uh, no, so that just doesn't seem to be going aggro on that. I can walk straight into it and it's just still not even, just not going to be aggro at all. If I do that, oh, you're just going straight to, yeah, let's just try and aggro a load of them. That's 3 that are aggro. Okay. Yeah, that one just saw me, which is quite good. Now I seem to be traveling wherever. Do I not have gravity on? Yeah, I've got gravity on the player. Constraints, freeze rotation, freeze position. Doesn't seem to be happening. Okay, how are we actually handling the player movement? Player movement handler. Velocity, right, okay, yep. Can add that back in then. Velocity dot y dot y. I'm gonna change our dash speed to just affect the y and the x instead of the y, and I'm gonna do that as well. Or the z and the y, sorry, not the y. It's all confusing. Um, it's velocity, and I guess we don't really want that to affect the z, so I'm gonna copy that down there, and we'll just do that instead of times in the movement speed. Then we can get rid of that bit at the end. Do we want the Y to kind of stay as it is, and then I can actually fall? Like, just in case something like that does happen. Although, I'd imagine that's kind of helped me a little bit. Um, okay. So we go ahead and play. So right now, it's the aggro. Like, everything else seems to be working. Although I seem to kind of be sliding a little bit, if you can see that. So if movement is not active, velocity. Oh, there we go. That would be why. Could I copy the entire line instead? I think I was kind of creating a little bit of a feedback loop there. Now we should just kind of see the player is still. The velocity seems to. Right, let's just try and reload that. Because it seems to just kind of be sliding a bit. And that's not what I want at all. I want the friction to be quite high. If I go left, yeah, it's still just sliding. So let's go onto the ground, get that box collider, and then we'll add the friction to that as well. I move. Yeah, it's kind of doing it, but it's not doing it at the same time. So we're kind of slowly moving in that direction. Uh, Here we are, just really slowly moving in another direction. So we need to let's just make that 0 on the velocities, and then when we're not actually moving at all, or like there's no input, then we don't move. I don't really want it to move at all. And it would make it a lot smoother. There we go. We do kind of slow down a little bit. That makes sense. So we can sort of dash as well. So if I just walk straight past them, they're not actually doing anything. So I think let's change that distance into so this is where it's going to become annoying. So let's create a new game object and we'll do look range or look detector, I guess. And then we're gonna move that into there. And then we're gonna need a reference to the enemy object now. So we'll just do set that at the top. Public enemy movement AI enemy movement AI. Let's do this. Okay. Then we can just drag that in, collider onto that. So we'll do on collision stay, I guess. It's called once per frame for every collider it's touching. So we'll do that on collision stay. If okay, yeah, so we'll do it like this. So if collision dot game object dot layer component actually no the game object dot name dot contains layer and then we'll do this collision dot game object dot transform dot position is within the angle range. Actually I think we can do collision dot point, can't we? Or collider dot point closest point returns a point on the collider that is closest to a given location. Nah. Collision dot contacts transform dot position. Yeah, we'll just do that. Collision dot transform dot position. No, we'll get the game object. So if it's less than the angle range, then we're gonna enable aggro. And enemy movement AI dot current state equals idle. And sorry, I just realised you can't see this again. So you just added the on collision stay. So once the player's in the collider, test that. So on collision stay, it should hopefully work. So if I just add a collider in here, We'll do a... We'll do a spear. Is there not a cone? No. So yeah, we'll do a spear, and we'll just do it around it, to be honest. So if we get that, and we'll put that in the center, and then we can just make that radius like 10. So if the player's within that range, layer overlays, and we'll make that a trigger. This may not work this way. I might have to do it from the player to the enemy instead. But we'll just have a little play, and then we can get rid of that is player invisible range. And then on the enemy movement, we can get rid of that line, which was in the... I don't know why that scrolled over. Just get rid of that. Tidy you up. And also make you a bit smaller. 90%. Okay, sweet. So if we now go into the game, so that's quite a wide radius, I guess. Should be pretty good. So we can see that now is on our look detector. And we've got everything all set up in there. So distance range we will just remove, because we're just doing that straight on the collider. And we will also on the health, we'll just enable the aggro. So if we get the enemy, not the detection handler, the enemy movement handler, I can't remember what it's called, activate aggro. So we can just do that straight there, and take damage. But we want to do that if a component enemy movement AI dot current state equals idle. We only want it to do it if it's an idle, and we actually put that first. And then, so we got the detection field. I guess we can actually just get rid of that, put that there instead. And just to make this a little bit shorter, let's do that. And I guess we can just turn that into another hand. Just turn that into a single line. Okay. So that kind of takes the responsibility off of that a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. I'm not sure if this is actually going to pick up the player or not though, or if I need to go onto the player and do on trigger stay. So we'll just have a look at that. Although this should be working on here as well. And actually let's go into here and we will just we will do so I wanna print dot so let's actually just do it like this instead. And then debug.log, and then we'll just print the dot range, so then we can actually see one, if this is actually being triggered, and two, what sort of range the player is in, just by kind of looking at where we are and what we're doing. Oh, I pause it. Okay. Okay, so yeah, the player. So this isn't even actually triggering it. If I go to you, yeah, but the player should be within that range, and it should be triggering. So we are going to need to add that onto the player. Let's just move that glider up a little bit as well. So we will go onto the player object and we'll do player bigger handler. I'm just gonna grab something. Alright, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. Right, so what we just done, we just added the script for the player, do the player trigger, we'll just override that as well. So this is going to be super simple, we're just going to do on trigger stay, and then if other game object name contains what is it, look detector, then we will actually, we're going to the detector, we'll do a public void test aggro range, and then we'll just do this there. We'll also just put that in, and we'll do a transform layer, and then we'll get rid of that there. And we can actually get rid of the transforms. We can just do position just there, and then we can get rid of this. Actually, we need that in there as well. We'll just move that to there. Now we just got the collision happening in here. So we want other dot get component enemy detection handler dot test aggro range, and we'll do transform. Just pass that through. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that out. We'll switch screens. Now we've actually got this set up, I believe it should work. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So we've got all that going. We don't need anything else on the trigger handler. Okay, so let's just go ahead and play. This one should be triggered almost instantly, but we are also gonna print the dot when it gets triggered. Oh, there we go. So, oh my god, that dot is massive. So maybe the dot does go to angles. Wow. That is not the dot that I was expecting. Do we need... Yeah, we need transform dot forward, don't we? Not that. Transform dot forward. The dot. And actually, do we have transform dot dot in here somewhere? His position within looking angle, yeah, and we're doing that there down there as well. So I should already know that. Right. So maybe this will actually work now. But we can also see the dot, depending on where the player is. So we're going to be looking at this one first. So minus minus. Oh, and there we go. So they've actually become aggro. So we can actually see that the player is in fact getting aggro. I managed to walk past that one because he wasn't looking. Now he is. Walk past this one and he should just become aggro. There we go. Okay, so I need to change that dot range. So I just stand here. Most of them are pop in. Right, I just need to get the dot range of when I'm in front of one of them. So let me just get this one triggered. Just because I want to know what that sort of dot range is. Oh, you're already triggered. That dot range is like 24. Am I in the range of that one? I'm not. So it is literally just this one that's being triggered at the moment. So the dot range is 24, 25. So if I try and just go around you. No, it's literally just. I get into the corner, it's like 30. Right, okay, so I need to adjust that then. You've just become one with me as well. I think I've done the dot range is less than 0.5 or something. So if we do dot range is less than angle range, would be more than angle range. It looks like 30 is like forward. Looks like it goes like 30 to minus 30, maybe. And I need to change that in the enemy movement as well. So more than max angle. And we'll actually call that min angle, just because apparently that's how it works now. They must have updated that at some point. And if I go in and just adjust that. We'll go for like 15. Angle range 0.5. Okay, yeah, so you actually need to get rid of that range as well. And we'll do that on the AI. I think it's like that on there as well. Yeah. View angle. Min view angle. Shit. That's also gonna be an issue down here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Is that actually an issue somewhere else? Yep. Do that. Okay. So I think what I said like 15 on that, and then we'll also do that on the movement AI. Which is min view angle. We'll change that to 15. And then we'll see what that does on movement and the player trigger. Hopefully this should work a little bit better, so then like they actually have to be looking at you to be triggered. Okay, so the positions seem to be okay. Like the idle movement is kind of all working. Some of them aren't moving at all. I'm just wondering if that's just bugging. There we go. Oh, and this one's come straight for me because I guess I'm this way. Come down here. You actually have to be looking, and then there we go. And then we'll also do a ray cast on that as well. So if we do a go into Yeah, keep that pause. If we go into the detection handler, we're gonna do a raycast to activate the aggro as well. So if we do that down here, and we're gonna need that wall thing. So let's just do public layer mask. What was it? Walk block layer. I guess we can actually get rid of that as well, and just move these around accordingly. There we go. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a raycast. So if physics, I'm actually gonna do a line cast. Transform dot position to the player dot position. I'm gonna do on that wall block layer. So if there's something on there, actually we'll just make this a false, and then we'll just leave that as is. So if there's nothing in the way, we'll activate aggro. If there is, then we'll just leave it. Then we need to set that down here as well. I don't know if you noticed, but there was one that was like kind of around here, and was aggroed even though I was on this side of the wall. So I just need to make sure that's taken into account. Wall cast block. And let's just change this over so then you can see a bit better. And then we're going to go ahead and reset that. Okay, so as we can see, that one's just not facing me at all. What's that? Each enemy and aggro enemies. If aggro enemies don't count is more than 0. Right, let's just make a temporary list here. So because we are removing, even though we're doing 4 each, so make a list. Enemy movement AI temp list equals new list, and then we'll just do temp list or add adds, and then we'll do for each. And if temp list dot count is more than 0, for each enemy in temp list, we're gonna do aggro enemies dot remove enemy, and then we'll do temp list dot clear. Then that'll stop that error coming through. Okay, so we're getting aggroed because we're in front, and it looks like this system is actually working really well. If I shoot it, it becomes aggro, comes towards the player because there's no other zombies attacking. Oh, I just walked in front of this one though, and there we go. Okay, okay. So what sort of angle do I need to get into? I think let's adjust that stopping distance, which is on the nav mesh agent. So stopping distance, let's make that 1, because right now it's trying to go into the player, and we kind of don't want that. Like, we do, but we don't want them to go directly to the player's actual position, because obviously it's got a collider, and then like, a couple of times it's just got stuck. So let's try and fix that. Right, and then if I come up to this one, I just want to see what angle. Right, okay, so 30 seems to be... Right, so if I'm actually in front of these right now... That one's just come straight through the wall. Which is not what I wanted at all, but if they're all looking... If I go into the corner... I seem to be... We can actually see, so there's like 3 of them that are kind of... actually attacking me. There's one that's kind of staying back a little bit. Seems to be though that some of them I'm getting like -30 on. Get like 10 minus. I want this. So I'm getting like up to minus 30. Not sure why that is. Getting like a 5-ish. I mean, it's working. It's working for the moment. Let's do that. And if I try and get up to this one, see what this one's looking at. So this one's minus 18, minus 19. And then if I come around this side, we are getting up to 15. And right now it's like 8, 18, 18, 14, 15. It's actually looking at me directly. It's like a 0, I think. So maybe we do want. Right, let's go minus 30 right now, 0. We've also got to think of the dot range of where it's actually looking as well. So right now it's looking at like 30, 30-ish, 30. Okay. So it is. I think it is kind of working. I think definitely gonna have to experiment with the dot range. But for the most part though, like if I just start randomly shooting, just aggro a load of them, and somehow I managed to not hit a single one of them. Okay, so if we just literally just run around the map, if I just kind of try and go around them. Ooh. You see that one didn't even aggro. This one's just not even aggro, even though I'm like right in front of it. So maybe we get rid of that dot and we just put a sphere literally like right in front of the enemy. So yeah, if I get rid of that dot, we just do if that and that, activate aggro, and then I'll just go in and adjust that adjust the collider so that it's actually like in front of them, and then it kind of works like that, I guess. So if I just go into one, if we make this instead of 10, we make it like 5, and then push that across by 5. Then it's got to be within this kind of distance for them to see it. I mean, like that, yeah, that kind of works. So if we do 5, 5, because it actually has to be like right in front of them. And then we'll also just raise it up a little bit by like 0.5. Just so then that kind of like lines up with eye level. Yeah, 0.5. Okay. Wall block layer, nothing right. Okay, yeah. So I didn't even fucking set that. That's why it went around the wall. Right. Okay. So now they're actually all in front of each other. So if I go ahead and just click on a view, press play. So now we're testing on a radius in front of them. Because the movement is fine. Like the movement, like just the idle random movement is absolutely fine. That's all working perfectly. And then if I just come over and just, right, there we go. Then you are both aggro. You are not aggro. You are aggro. So yeah, the ones that are through the wall aren't becoming aggro. Yeah, literally you can just see that right there. That one's not aggro. Okay, and then this one's become aggro. This one's become aggro because I've shot it. Yeah, literally you can see right here. I'm in the sphere, but I'm not becoming aggro because it can't see me through the wall. So if I go ahead, just pop up here, I'm now aggro to that one, I think. I'm still not aggro to any of the others. So if I just go ahead and kill it, and if I just come up here, we can actually see getting aggro between all of these. This one seems to be looking a different way to what it actually is looking. So let's maybe just in the idle, just to help with visualization. So in the idle, I'm just gonna make it instead of a lerp, I'm just gonna make it look exactly where it needs to. Okay. Go ahead and highlight them again. Just try and get a bit closer down here just so we can actually see where they're looking compared to the... Oh, actually. So yeah, I've just realised they're completely wrong anyway. Because they are on the X instead of the Z, because we want it to be in front, not... Yeah. Although actually, because I think the right is a default front, is it not? So let's just go ahead and... Yeah, I think I've actually just scuffed this right up. So if we go 90 on that, change that to the X, because I think it is actually the right that is in front, if that makes sense. As far as I'm aware. Let's just go ahead and look at that. See it on this one. Okay, no, so it is actually forward. And we can actually add that look detector to the capsule. Actually, no, we'll keep it. We'll keep it. No, yeah, we'll do it like this. We'll do it like this. So we'll make you 90. You want there, there, and then you need to be there instead. So yeah, yeah, okay. There we go. Now if we actually look at them all and highlight. Now we should actually be seeing them looking in the right direction and testing for collision in the right direction as well. Okay, there we go. Yeah, they're actually looking where they're going now. So if I come in here, up to you, now you can actually see me. Now you're actually going to come over and attack. You can't see me because I'm through the wall. And then if I come over to you, you can see me now. Now you're just going to attack. So if I actually just pass through wall, if you don't look at me, there we go. Okay, and then we just aggro all of you. There's only 3 that are actually attacking at a time. All the rest are just kind of staying aggro. Go to the AI manager. Yeah, so we can actually see that. We're also gonna have to loop through. If it's null, then we just remove it. Because if I kill that one, now there's no aggros. So let's go ahead, switch over. We need to go into the enemy tracking. So update aggro list. So for each enemy in aggro enemies, we'll also do if enemy equals null. Actually, we'll do. Yeah, we'll just do that. Equals null. And we'll add to the list, and then we'll remove you from there. For each enemy and enemies for scene. We're gonna want another temp list. And we'll do if enemy equals null, then temp list dot add enemy, and then we'll do down here for each enemy temp list. Enemy is insane dot remove enemy. And then we will clear the temp list. Well, actually, no, we don't need to clear the temp list because it's a temp list. It's literally just being made every time that we do this. Let's just try and shorten these down though. Okay. Yeah, we'll just set that in. So if temp list count is more than 0, then we'll do this. If not, then we'll just ignore it. Just then it's keeping in line. We'll also make that an else, because obviously if it equals null, then we don't want to do any of this. Okay. And then that should help. If we go ahead and kind of continue this in a second, it should kind of clear those lists. Okay. There we go. We also need the attacking enemies to be cleared. That's not working for some reason. So aggro enemies. Update. Right. Let's just update lists in here. Just because I feel like, yeah, that's basically just all of them. And then, so this is enemies in scene, aggro enemies. Aggro enemies dot add. This add enemy. Enemies remove. Okay, and then if attacking enemies dot count is more than 0 for each enemy attacking enemies. If enemy equals null, I'm also going to make another temp list here. Temp list dot add enemy, and then if temp list dot count more 0 for each enemy and temp list. Attacking enemies dot move enemy. Okay. Let's go up here and do. We'll keep that in the order that it's in. So we're going to remove from the aggro list. We're going to add to the aggro list, and then we're going to update the attacking list. Wow, that's a lot to do. Okay. But I think we are basically there with our AI. So that's just cleared. And then we should see an attacking enemy go onto the aggro list soon. In like 9 seconds. I think we need to make that a little quicker. Did we change that here? No. So I'm going to change this. Do you know what? Actually, I think I'm just going to get rid of that timer completely. I don't think we need that timer. Like, it needs to be like a constant update kind of thing. Yeah, and I think we can just kind of leave that there. Let me just put this below because it is run last. Kind of keep it in the order that it's updated in. So if I just switch screens and show you what I've done. So we're going to run through the aggro enemies and update that list. If they're not aggro, then we're going to remove them. We're going to run through enemies and scene. If they've been destroyed or killed, then we're going to remove them. Kind of the same for the aggro list. If they've been killed, then we'll remove them. And then the attacking, if they've been killed, then we'll remove them as well. Just because they were kind of keeping open slots. And then we're going to run through the aggro list if we can make more attacking zombies and then set them to attack. So this would be kind of like a central system instead of them deciding for themselves. Because then later down the line I can change the max attacking count depending on like what type of zombie they are. Like, so if we only want one of certain type of zombies to be attacking it at a time, or like if we want to throw more at the player as they're playing. And then yeah, so I think we basically have the framework for this game down. Um, yeah, like the entire framework is running. I did do some work on obviously the player controller as well as the weapon, like actually using the weapon, so we can actually go in and make a scriptable object, change the stats, change the prefabs, and stuff like that. But for the moment, all the AI is working. Is working exactly as I wanted it to. If I go up to this zombie, it sees me, it clicks, and then it just starts to attack. And then the same for these two. I come up to this guy, so we can actually still get away with our little dash. So it is possible to run away. We can then also just shoot them as well. It's a little bit difficult to aim. And if I actually connect my controller, we can use controller as well. As you can see, oh, you can't see it down there. If I just pull this out, then you can actually see joystick connected. DualSense, I'm using it as an Xbox controller. You can actually use software called DualSense X, which kind of like just converts the input. If I come into here, then I can actually run this. It's doing the same bug again, so for some reason I can only shoot while I'm not aiming. Yeah, I'm not sure why it does that bug. I think it's because I'm using the Xbox controller as well. So let me just go ahead and disable that and just run it as a single controller. There we go, yep. Now that's actually working. So now I can just go around and aim. And I just shoot. So I think, and I can still, yeah, I can still kind of jump a bit. I think the aiming is a little bit rusty. A bit hard to kind of figure out where you are aiming, so we're definitely gonna have to add something in for that. On the mouse, obviously, it's a lot easier because you can actually see where you're clicking. But yeah, I actually think that's basically this prototype done. Um, yeah, basically smashed it out in like 3 days. And yeah, I'm actually quite excited about it because it seems like quite a fun little game to play. So I think we're gonna see where that goes. Obviously, I'm gonna keep with the devlogs. I've got some free time over summer. I'll probably be working on this game quite a bit, and kind of see where we can take it. Yeah, it's been quite fun so far, and especially if you've been watching today and yesterday, it's been quite a few hurdles to get through. Um, but we're actually getting there, we're moving, we're making progress, and it's been sick. So if you've gotten to this point, watching this live stream, kudos to you, bro, because this has taken quite a long time. I think what 7 hours on record between today and yesterday, and then an extra day that I didn't actually record. But yeah, so heading it in the right direction. I think next time probably going to be looking at working on like the actual weapons, like so getting them into the worlds and then you can pick them up and change. We're definitely going to have to add some sort of aiming feature for the controller. And yeah, so it's been sick. It's been real. My name's Jordan. I design games. And yeah, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it is. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. It's been sick. Have a good one. Enjoy your summer. Safe.